Wonderful. So, good morning, good afternoon. I'm Marina Galvani. I'm the head of the art program for the World Bank. And I welcome you to this talk that I'm really looking forward to on exploring the rural experience for women in Africa. This is part of the virtual exhibition, We Are Africa, the Power of Women and Youth, which we are curating in partnership with the Vice Presidency for the Africa region and the gender group. The reason we are preparing this event is that we decided to organize a virtual exhibition instead of a traditional physical exhibition due to the COVID limitation. But instead of preparing the exhibition behind the scene and presenting the end of the process to the viewers, we wanted to build up with a series of chapters, if you want, the exhibition under the eyes of the viewers. So every month we will address a different aspect of the experience of women and youth in Africa in relationship to development. So today we have the fortune of talking about the rural experience with Markus Goldstein, the head of the Africa Gender Innovation Lab of the World Bank, the Agness Buya Yombwe, a wonderful multimedia artist and educator from Zambia, and Cedric Mizero, who is a designer and cultural changemaker from Rwanda. So every month, as I said, we will have a similar event with a development expert and artists who will share their experiences and see how we can support better our beneficiaries in this wonderful continent. I would please ask everybody if you have questions for any speaker or for me to write them in your chat. We will collect them, and at the end, we will try to address all of them. And if you could kindly remind yourself to mute your mic. If you are on the phone, the host cannot do that for you, so please remember to do it. So I would like to pass the baton to Markus, and looking forward to your presentation. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Marina. So I was asked to set the scene a bit in terms of some of the evidence we have on different things that you're going to hear the artists talk about in the context of their work. So the more interesting part is coming. This is the context. Next slide, please, and the next. Thanks, Sarah. So in the Africa Gender Innovation Lab, we've been looking at sort of constraints to women's economic empowerment, which is behind a lot of what you'll hear today. And one of the things we've looked at is why female farmers in Malawi have lower profits, significantly lower profits than their male counterparts. And a big factor is something that we see in all aspects of economic life, is that women are in different jobs than men. And in this case, men are farming the export crop. But there are women who break through. And what we found in particular is that women with higher social emotional skills, so things like perseverance, extroversion, are much more likely to be farming the high value export crop, which in Malawi is tobacco. And this helps them get more information, more inputs, and higher earnings. What's really interesting is if you think about the social context, this is very true, particularly true in patrilocal communities, where women might face more adversity because they're living in the village of their husband. So now we're trying a training that develops these skills for farmers in Mozambique. Next slide, please. So another dimension of thinking about these kinds of skills is that they might be very important for adolescent girls. And adolescence, as we all know, is a critical time. There's the high risk of early marriage and having a kid early on in the life, which totally changes a woman's trajectory. So one potential solution came from the NGO BRAC, which are these clubs. And they have a safe space. They provide life skills training, right? So thinking about some of those skills I was just talking about, but also vocational training. So this trinity of interventions. And in Uganda, we saw great kinds of impacts. Income generation went up for these girls, but they still stayed in school. They were less likely to have a child by 37% and less likely to have sex against their will at 30%. And then we saw some gender norms, not all, changing in favor of more equitable distribution of roles in the household. The third example I wanted to give you to help set the scene here was thinking about engaging men, because gender is about dynamics and power dynamics, and it's not just women. So here we go to Cote d'Ivoire, where rubber is a key export for the country, and the government and everyone is sort of asking how can we best increase production. So here we try two different things. One is you try the extension on rubber plus some input, some rubber seedlings. You can try giving it to the household head, which is usually a man. But here the new thing was to try, well, let's get the couple together, put them through the training together, have them do an action plan together. So what happens when you do this joint training and planning relative to the solo training and planning? You get much higher production, right? The couple works together, they change who does what on the farm. So engaging men, you can change the gender dynamics and then change the welfare of the entire household. And that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Agness.
Agness, we can't hear you. Agness. Now I think you're okay. I think you're okay now.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, thank you. Afternoon, sorry about that. Yeah, afternoon, everyone. My name is Agness Buya Yombwe, a visual artist based in Livingstone, Zambia. My interest in art started in my 8th grade at St. Mary's Secondary School. I actually didn't know that I could draw. So after learning that, I was so excited. And the first portrait that I did was of my dad. I was so excited when I drew it. I showed it to my mom. And when my mom looked at it, she told me that it was a taboo. And I was so scared for 2 days. I actually tore it. And I thought that something bad was going to happen to me, you know. So one of the inspirations in my work comes from the taboo story. The taboo story has even made me have a book, which is even on Kindle. So now I continued doing art at school. Even when I was completing my grade 12, my art teacher asked me what I was going to be. I told her I was going to be a teacher. She told me that I was going to be a very good art teacher. I was so happy because I didn't know which subject I was going to do. So when I went to college, I found that I was alone in a class of 15 men. You know, so now the scenario is, has that changed? The answer is no. Still with the visual arts here in Zambia, we only have about 30% women doing that. Yeah, so I find that even here where I am, I continue working, you know, just doing my art. Yeah. So the other inspiration from my work, apart from the taboo story, comes from, you know, social issues. This piece that you're seeing here is entitled Boma Yanganepo, which means that the government should look into it. It's a mixed media piece from wood and gauze. It even has wire tied in some piece. So from social issues, there are actually many things that people are complaining about, largely lack of employment, you know, like social amenities, high cost of living, you know, all forms of violence, early marriage, you know, all those. So here where I live, there are many people that actually spend a lot of time, you know, drinking beer and not doing much. So I find that when I do my work, I get a lot of inspiration from things around me. And I try to bring out things that I feel need the attention of the government, though the government might be, you know, looking at it. And some of these social issues are some of the things that World Bank and its partners are actually helping to mitigate. Yes, so my other inspiration also comes from the Mbusa of the Bemba people. You know, the Bemba people believe that the other inspiration apart from the Mbusa comes from the elephant in the room. Huh? The elephant in the room series is inspired from the idiom elephant in the room, which talks about an obvious problem which everyone knows, but they have challenges talking about it. Reasons being that they're either uncomfortable or they find it embarrassing, and also maybe it's socially or politically unacceptable. So I use the elephant to emphasize the problem. So for example, the issues of girls not being brides, you know, this issue is being talked about, you know, and has been talked about and dealt with. Even World Bank is doing that and many other people, but it still keeps coming back and back. So I put it in an elephant and thought, I think all the sectors, all people need to again look at it. You know, I think most of these issues have to do with maybe our social setup, you know, where we are coming from. So the elephant, again, sometimes I use it also to look at issues that have to do with politics, you know, the news headlines and all that. For example, in the other week there, the Kenyan female MP removed from parliament for bringing baby, you know, so there isn't space for a woman, you know, where you can have maybe to look after your baby. So I find that I like to bring these issues out and I put them in an elephant. And like this one here, the other thing which is really worrisome, like in our country, it's on violence. I normally like to say no to all forms of violence, but this particular one is looking at the electoral violence. You know, we've seen that opposition and the ruling party cadres, they keep fighting, and we are worried, especially that we are going to vote next year. So I'll try to do more work, but I've already started, like, you know, I think the way forward is we should start talking. But recently, some things have been happening against you with the violence. And there's been a bit, you know, like from the president, he said something, even the police have come out to say something. So we are yet to see how it's going to be, if it's going to work and that is going to end. But it's a worrisome situation. And also, if you see in the other elephant, you know, now with the coming of COVID-19 and there's been also a lot of stress and a lot of challenges, difficulties that it has brought. So if you see in this elephant, there's the goat, the pawpaw, even the quail, because we read in the news that in Tanzania they had, you know, pretended to take, you know, the test for the goat, the papaya and the quail to the lab to test for COVID-19, and they found they were positive. And after they found that, it was said in the news, and then again, they're believing in prayers, then they're saying they're healed, it's not there. And now we are looking at the situation in our country where we are seeing the numbers increasing. And now we are wondering, like me, I'm asking myself, okay, we have World Bank and these things are happening. Then we have the other leaders, the neighbors. What are they saying? What are they saying to us? You know, so another inspiration for me comes from the Busa, you know, like I said earlier, of the Bemba people. You know, they actually believe that at every stage of one's life, you need to teach them how they're going to live it. So Mbusa, they are secret emblems with hidden meanings about life, and are made by women, and they're of 3 types. There are wall designs, there are pottery, there is even mixed media. So this is done by the traditional teachers with the core Vanachimbusa, and the objective and purpose of the Mbusa is to help mold the young men and women into responsible citizens. You know, so most of the topics that they cover, there's gender, there's governance, there's productivity, there's finance. So when a couple is taught together, you know, they somehow help each other, even in business. Yes. So still from the Mbusa, there is an example there of the piece that I call Elephant Totem. It's still inspired from the Mbusa, and it's mixed media with chalk powder, charcoal tea leaves, and acrylic on board. So it's talking about totems. A lot of our people have now forgotten. They don't know that they have totems. They don't know where they come from. So I try to bring it also back in my topics as well as one of my inspirations. And then the next one, the Mundu the pot, it's an artifact from the Mbusa where a couple blows in. They make one blow in, the sound is silent. When there's some noise, when both blow, there is no sound. So the teaching there is to respect one another in a home, whether it's in an office. When one is talking, the others must listen. If they don't listen, you can see the red there, the dots, they symbolize, blood, you'll be having quarrels, you'll be having fights. So tradition is also one of the things, indigenous tradition, yes, it's one of the things that I get inspiration from. So in the picture here, you see that the actual women that installed the collection that we have here, we are actually seen, painting, putting it up. So this one that they are doing, especially the one in pink, it's what has inspired me to do the next work, which we will see. But all these things that you are seeing here, they are meant for teaching. So I've picked two there. For example, I call it Chiminine, a seated child. And is used to teach a couple about bringing up their children. Well, they will tell you, don't let children sit when elders are upstanding. Don't let children listen in when elders are talking. So on GB issues, there's a knife there, which is also used to teach against GBV. So most of these women, they are traditional teachers. So some of the things that I've done as an artist is that I've been asked, I've traveled around Zambia through Zambia National Visual Arts Council to do skills training for many artists, So what actually happens is many people do art without knowing that they can actually live, make a business from it. So when we go around Zambia, we teach them, first of all, they have to improve the quality of their work. Apart from improving the quality of their work, we try to tell them that what you are doing is actually a business, and we try to show them ways in which they should register that business. And then because of all these mobile services that have come in, some people, the time that we were going around, they actually didn't know. So we're teaching them also how to have access, use the phones to do business transactions. And also, because all the people that would come with different artists, then they would be doing basket weaving, sharing schools with textile, and so on. So like now here at YY, what you're seeing in the pictures, it's the children that we mentor, the girls and boys, they come to learn different skills. And sometimes what we also like to do, those that are doing school leaver exams, even O levels, we give extra lessons. They pay for a service where we help them to improve their grade, by teaching them how they should do their project. For example, the other girl there, Thelma, is doing a project, an elephant. The other girl, she's doing a design on cloth. And also we like to reuse, to recycle. So the children are actually, they have space, especially the safe space, they're able to experiment and do so many things that they would love to do even later in life. So it's something that we are trying. It's not easy. When we started, all these children, yes, when we started, the situation was that we wanted children to focus on art, but we found that they're not able to focus on art because of the challenges that they have at their homes. So we found that we have to mitigate and find partners to give us something which will help, to keep them in school. So they learn a lot of things. Like here, they're learning, paper making, recycling newspapers and other papers so that they make different papers. So our space is generally a safe space for many things. What you're also seeing now is a workshop which we had, which was sponsored by Financial Sector Deepening Zambia, and which had partnered with Zambia National Visual Arts Council, which was in 2017. This one was mostly just the young women artists. They all came and camped here at our studio for 2 weeks. They were doing work, like to understand their finances, and it was encouraging them to know, also to plan and live. And also the works which were made from that work were exhibited in the National Museum in Lusaka. The winning works were awarded prizes. Yes. So sometimes, like what you are seeing now, we have workshops still for women. What we've realized here is that most of these traditional teachers, are having challenges to live on what they do. So they would rather sell at the market. So we are trying to get them off the market and make them to do quality work, which they can, sell. So like here, we brought some facilitators through PEP Zambia from Zimbabwe. And this is what's happening in the pictures. So with the coming of COVID, the project, which really started well, right now it's a little bit disturbed because, there is no movement, people are back to zero. So some of these pictures that you are seeing again, what we do here is apart from teaching the children art, we also try to find other skills that they have and help them develop that skill. So for example, the girl that is plating here just finished grade 12 last year, and we wanted her to continue. She's quite good in the arts, but visual art, but because of challenges of economic challenges at their home, we ended up taking her for a short training, for 1 week training in, the hair things, and now and gave her a package to do that. Yes, and also just doormat making like the way Georgina is doing there. So this next image, there's some music going on, recording there. We have our partners, Global Sojourns Giving Circle, who support our activities for mentorship. So they had recently a competition which is ending today. So the boys were creative and they came up with music. And here they're helping each other. One is doing a poem, the other one is recording. Because we're told we shouldn't use any trained people, we should be creative. So we ended up buying a condenser. Now the children themselves can do their music. And with the coming of COVID, some of the interventions, like you're seeing that garden, we had to buy seedlings for some of the children. So this is Simon's garden. Now they're eating vegetables. So we've had to do things differently to help mitigate even, in the homes that, of the children that we mentor since the coming of COVID.
Many thanks, Agnes, for this. I know we had to scale down incredibly with the number of artworks and projects you work on, and I know many of them involve both rural and urban youth and women. So I'm sure in the questions we will be able to dig a little deeper. So I would like to pass the mic to Cedric to present his work. Thank you again, Agnes.
Thank you.
Agnes, you may need to mute your mic, and Cedric, you need to unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello, everyone. My name is Cedric Mizero. I'm an artist, fashion designer from Rwanda. I was born in 1993. It was before the genocide that happened in Rwanda. The reason why I say that is because for my art, it's one of the inspiration. It's one of my reference. It's about after and before. So I started art since 2012. My art's been just around celebrating women. It's all about celebration of women, rural women. And can I see this slide, please? I'm not able to see the slide. Oh, thank you so much. So I've been inspired by rural women because I was born in a small village called Gishoma. So after the genocide in 1994, and I look at it as a reference where all the women who didn't, who was just in the power at that moment. So you can see around Rwanda, all the women were the one who was doing an amazing thing. So I was inspired so much about my mom, who was just home raising 12 kids. And then for me, I just wanted to be the voice of the women, and I wanted just to tell a little bit of their story and celebrate their strong and their beauty. So I started a project called Fashion for All. It was a project that was just to attract people's attention and then tell them a story. And Strong Women, it was a project that I did in 2017, where I worked with women in the village, letting them, reminding them how beautiful and strong they are. Because for me, I thought I could see that they were a bit outside of what other people expect them to be. And then I drove the attention there, and then I did a photo shoot with them where I was dressing them and then let them feel themselves and then write their story and then hear what they think about. And for this picture that you see was just, I think it was, for me, it was a conversation between me and them, and trying to tell them and to remind them they're beautiful. And like, for example, these, all these pictures, for them was for their first time seeing themselves in the pictures. And so we talked about a lot of issues, but for me, I wanted to have that attention that used colors and then the dresses and fashion, because people wanted to see that. So we touched, I touched, after this exhibition, Strong Women, it was under Fashion for All project, where I was trying just to know deeply, like, what was their story, what was, like, I wanted to share their strength. So I did a project, I did this, and then it was an exhibition. So the exhibition that for these pictures, I don't know if you can see the woman in the picture, she's just laughing in the field, and you see the woman on the floor just laying down. For me, it was, I just wanted to be a bit interactive, because there was this problem that was, for me, that was the research, where women who managed to come to town, and they were trying to make life out of selling fruit, selling bananas, because I was just inspired about, like, these women carrying a big basket with fruit sitting around, because they're just trying to make money for their family, and they were a bit abused. For me, I could see them being pushed away, because it's not allowed for the women just to sell things on the street. So for me, I was trying to fuse that story that was happening, and to let people see what a woman is, and then what they're facing in art. So I was just trying to introduce that strength of women and their beauty in the art. And next slide, please. So for this picture, I just wanted to the graphs, the boxing graphs. It just showed, I was just trying to express the strength, not in the fighting way, but the strength in themselves. So for this one, if you could see, I painted this. For me, it was something about our generation, because the generation now that we live in, it's kind of, things have changed. If you never grow up in the village, you don't know agriculture. If you've never been, like, you don't know what is agriculture. For me, this was kind of showing, because these women, they're the one doing, most of the women, they're the one doing the amazing work with the agriculture. So for me, I showed the tools as a gold. I made them look gold, because for me, it was more remind people that that's our richness. That's the agriculture. It's what our goal that we have. That was more for the new generation. But also, I introduced in the project that I called Beauty in the Heart, because, like, if you live in the village, all these women, they don't think they're beautiful because they're farmers, because they don't see themselves often. For me, I think it was something that I always feel like I want my mom to feel beautiful. I want to know that she means a lot in the society. So and the next slide. This was an exhibition that I did in London last year. It was called Dreaming My Memory. I wanted to talk about my memory in the village. So we introduced a lot of memories that I have in my village. That's all related to women, because for me, all my work is about the celebration of women. If you could see the white one with a hairstyle, it's presenting a woman. It's made out of beads. For me, the beads, it means getting together. Well, as I said, I always amazed to see after everything that happened in Rwanda, if you could see how women are playing a huge role of putting the society together again. So with these skills, so you see like this beaded mannequin, it took like 10 women sitting together, different tribes. And for me, it's always unity. So that one was presenting the unity of Rwandans now that are trying to put something on another level. And the other one of, it's a cow, half woman. It talks about the pride of a woman because she's sitting on the drum. You can't see it with the image, but she's this woman sitting on a drum. For me, for ours in our culture, to sit on the drum, it's a taboo. And drums, it means a celebration. It means happiness. It means a lot for these women who's sitting on drums, because I wanted to show that she's proud to celebrate, to be celebrated. She's sitting on it to show the world that she is being someone. And the reason why she's half cow, half woman in our culture. When you are a woman, people, like if you're a woman in the village, you're worth a cow. For others, people, in people's eyes, they see you as a cow, you know, because when you want to have a woman, if you want to get married, if I want to get married, the only thing that I have to do is to have a cow, and I will do exchange. I give a cow and they give me a wife. For me, I wanted to let people know that it's more than that. It's not, if you see this woman, she doesn't worth a cow. You know, she worth more. She's strong. She, you know, it was this trait that I was talking about. And so for me, it's a celebration where she's sitting on the drum as showing her strength. And this is also the last project that I worked on. It was it's called New Life in the Village. I wanted to address an issue that I thought it was something that when I left the village, it was not long time ago. I left the village in 2012 and I came to Kigali, and I get introduced to a new life where everything was easy for me. I go to the hospital and everything was, it was beautiful than in the village because it was easy. And when I look back in my small village, I thought a lot of things were changed. That's why I introduced a project called The New Life in the Village. It's talking about how things are running in the village. And for me, I feel like these things are going fast, but we are not educated. It's like access we have on things, but not educated to. Like this picture, I present a kid having a bombo. I don't know how you call it in English, a lollipop. Instead of being a bombo, it's made out of pills, medicine, because for me, it's the story of how the medicine took over the whole places, because people don't, the first thing people in the village, they don't know how to use medicine. They don't know how to read distribution, like the meaning of the medicine, because it's all in English. For me, it was more about like we have access on a lot of things, but we're not educated to like, so for me, I call it a new life of village. So people are living in a new way where medicine are like a bombo. So the dot, the red and white dot for me was a presentation of the medicine, because since I was young, all the disease that I had, we only use that color, red and white pills. So at some point when I go to Europe and they give me different medicine, I'm like, why in my village they only have white and red pills? So for me, it was about like, I see as, you know, like pills taking over. Next project. That was a project that I did in my lockdown. I was in the small village. It was just a conversation that I had with kids that live in the village, and with their help. And so this is a picture that I took a picture, and it was for me a childhood memories and the childhood conversation where I wanted to know what is in the mind of children in the village, what they see, like what their dreams. You know, for me it was more a conversation. Next slide. This is a new project that I'm working on now. We are weaving a car. So we did the technique that they're using these women. As I say, that my work is always based on the celebration of women. This is after the lockdown, when I was in the village. All these women were calling me all the time because I worked with them before. They were like calling me and asking me like, "Oh, could you help us because we don't have a job." And then for me, where I was like, I wish I could have something to offer them, but then I didn't have that. So when I went back to Kigali, I had an idea of what if we try something new in our culture. So because I want women to feel that they can do more than what people expect to do. So in our culture, women weave a basket in just a small size. So for me, I just wanted to introduce them as they can do more. So we decided to weave a car. So it's a project that we're doing now. It's 2 months. We still have like maybe 2 more months to finish. And then I'm just so excited to see how, for the first time, the women are doing something. Like for me, it's amazing if you see the detail and the time they took and the process that takes. Just for them, even them to learn that, it's amazing. They can't believe that they weaving a car. Like they're from this small village I built them. It's kind of a residence that we're having in my home studio, and so the car is composed with glass. I don't know fibers in English, and the tires of the car, it's beaded, the beads. So it's the new project. For me, it was more empowering them, at the same time also introducing them to a new world, what they can do, because I want women to always be celebrated as someone who can do more, who can do a lot, who's not limited only to do what a society think they should do. So, and we are hoping to present this car, I don't know where, but still looking for a visibility where these women will feel proud of what they did for 4 months of work. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Cedric. So I would like to open the space for questions. As I said, you can write them in the chat, or you can open your mic and ask directly. You can decide to whom you want to address the question, or it can be a general question. I would like to pass the microphone to the audience. I heard and I read many beautiful comments about your presentation. So my congratulations to Agness and Cedric for your beautiful work and your beautiful presentation.
We had some questions in the comments already. One was for Cedric, asking if he has shown his work at the INEMA Art Center in Kigali.
No, I haven't got a chance to. Also, my work, I was trying to not be commercial first because I was experimenting the storytelling. So I haven't had a chance to do that. But I know the place. I know the place is beautiful.
And in connection with this, where did you show your work? How people can find out about you from exhibitions in Rwanda or elsewhere?
So in Rwanda, I don't have a place to exhibit now. I had the chance to exhibit in London, in Somerset House, and I had a chance to exhibit in a gallery in London, 18th Strand. And in Rwanda, I'm still trying to collaborate with galleries, and I'm just still find out. I think it's a process. I'm learning, and
Well,
And the best place.
Hello, everybody. This is Ruth Stanford. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Can you hear me? Yeah.
yes.
It's always a pleasure to see the work of my good friend Agness. And Cedric, it is wonderful to see your work. It's really stunning. I really enjoyed the opportunity. I wonder if someone with the World Bank could talk about the artist residency and how that is proceeding with the COVID issues.
Hi, Marina. I have a question. This is Anne Kabagambe.
Oh, hello.
It's such a great pleasure to join you. My question is to Cedric. Excellent work, but I wonder, Cedric, whether the women in your village, which are really not very far from my own village, consider the work that you do a luxury within the concept of their own lifestyle, and not a necessity as we see it here, as we admire it. That's the first question. And I was curious to know where you get those fancy dresses that you have in your pictures, whether you have a designer in Kigali who does that. And two, for my sister Agnes, excellent job. I'm glad that you are able to extend your craft to the community, and not just in Lusaka, but beyond. And Agnes, I was just wondering whether you're working with any of the government agencies. I didn't get that one, but both of you, excellent. I'm very proud of you. And for Marina, I'm so glad that my office was able to work closely with you on this. So over to you.
And very many thanks for your question, Ms. Kabagamba. I would like to just to add for everybody in the audience, Ms. Kabagamba did introduce herself because she is too humble for that, but she is the executive director representing the 22 countries we are featuring in this exhibition. So at the first time we met 3 years ago to start to think about this exhibition, she told me she was the ambassador for 600 million people. And indeed, really, the artists in our eyes are, if you want, the best ambassadors as well, in the sense that they're able to encapsulate in their artworks what is happening in their communities and in the souls of people. So I'm very glad that these 3 ambassadors were able to join forces to present the situation of women. So Agnes, I pass the mic to you to answer the questions that were directed to you exactly.
Agnes, I believe you're muted.
Should I try?
I think she disappeared from the participant list. Maybe we can move to Cedric and then we return to others.
I want to really thank so much Ms. Kawagande for the question that she asked. It's for the women to access what I do. All these women, they are from my village, and most of them, they are families and friends where I grew up seeing them. For me, after doing the work, I share with them. I share them print, and I share them kind of an exhibition. And also they had the chance to come to Kigali to see how people react on them. So I had an exhibition. All the exhibition that I did, they were there. Also have a feel, like to feel, and also to be kind of accomplish the story that I was trying to tell. So these women were there physically, and they also had the chance to be on the runway where they kind of did a fashion show to support that what I was doing. And for the dress, as I introduced myself, I'm an artist, also fashion designer. I designed the dress, and then I work with the tailors sometimes, and also I make pattern I mostly work as a fashion designer as well. But mostly all of these beautiful dresses, it's just to capture people's attention, and then they can receive a story. Thank you.
And I would like to connect it briefly with what Cedric was saying, capturing people's attention, because that is exactly what we are trying to do with the exhibition with the World Bank Art Program, creating spaces for artists to tell a story, or if you want, addressing the emotional side of the viewers, so that they can understand or feel or empathize with whatever story is behind. So I think Cedric is absolutely on point. I think Sarah now is sharing a slide. Oh, Agness is back. Wonderful. Hi, Agness.
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So we had a question from Ms. Kabagambe for you. If you could share with us if you've been cooperating with government agencies, excuse me, in your work.
Yes, thank you so much for that question. I actually work with the Ministry of Tourism and Arts through National Arts Council and the Visual Arts Council. So most of the workshops that we've done over the years have been through that. And now since we started running our own gallery, we do our own as well, but we still get partners like Lettre Trust, I said already, Global Sojourns Giving Circle, some friends as well. Yes, they do support us a lot. Thank you.
Okay, so we have the questions, some of the questions here online. So one of the questions is if the presentation will be shared afterwards. And we will register this presentation. All the presentation we will do monthly will become part of the exhibition file, and it will be included in the online catalog, the virtual catalog we are producing, which will be completed by the end of the exhibition, meaning in the spring of 2020, so in March, April 2020. In the meantime, we will save this presentation in the Art Program Yammer webpage. If you don't have access to Yammer, feel free to reach out to the Art Program and we will share the presentation with you. We are posting, just for people who are intern in the bank, we are posting biography and more information on each artist we are featuring on the Yammer page as well. So you can discover more work by Agness and Cedric there as well. So the third question is how we can help Cedric and Agness to get international exposure. Well, I'll let Cedric and Alejandro and Agness answer this and tell us what we could do to help. Then I can answer from the point of view of a curator of the World Bank. Agness, you want to start?
The question is how we can get international exposure.
Exactly, yes.
Yes. One of them is what we are doing right now. And like the activities that we do here would be, it would be wonderful, to also have World Bank maybe support those, Yes, and apart from that, remember we're supposed to come for a residence, but because of COVID. So for me, that was one of the ways in which I was going to get international exposure through that channel. And I'm also happy, like right now, I think a lot of people are listening in, and already for me, that is international exposure. Thank you.
Thank you, Agnes. Cedric, you are still muted.
Thank you so much. For me, I think it's not far from what Agnes said. Already this is a beautiful way to get exposure. And for me, I was always since I started art, wanted to exhibit and then to have people seeing my work, also interact with me and me telling them stories. So for me, it's a space is to exhibit and to be able to share my culture and also learn from others. For me, it's the way that I will always love to explore, to get exposure.
Thank you. And I would like to add as well, exactly as it was said a minute ago, by the artists. This is an opportunity. What Agness was mentioning, the residency, is in reference to the fact that We Are Africa was a project was supposed to take place with a physical exhibition at the World Bank in Washington, D.C., and included the residency for 7 selected artists throughout these 22 countries to come and spend time in Washington working at the World Bank, so meeting with World Bank staff, but as well with curators and galleries, etc., in the, if you want, on the Eastern Shore of the United States. And that was done in partnership with the regional vice presidency. Naturally, with COVID, all this was postponed. We don't know if we will ever be able to resume the residencies or not. But certainly the virtual exhibition was our, if you want, our commitment towards the artists, because we feel in our program, we feel the artists are the people we're working for, because they are representative excuse me, of their communities. They are agents of change in their community. In addition, I see here Ruth Stanford, a professor from the Atlanta in Georgia University. And this is a wonderful opportunity to have external people to see these artists and disseminating their voice. I can tell you, 12 years ago, we did another exhibition with contemporary artists from sub-Saharan Africa, titled Africa Now. And we shared with the catalog and the exhibition, CVs and portfolio and contacts with artists, many curators around the world. And this has been the trampoline for many artists to really launch their career. And I've seen them growing. Now they are not, many of them are no longer emerging, they're established artists, partially thanks to this exhibition. On an individual basis, what each of you can do is spread the word, really talk to people about these wonderful artists, about this exhibition, and make sure that many more people are participating. For the people working specifically in projects in these countries, if you think you can partner with Agness and Cedric, and Patrick and Cedric are open to that, please reach out to them. I've been working in operation before, and I've seen that artists are a wonderful partner for every development project. They are really fantastic. They are leaders in their communities, and they can bring a lot of innovative approaches. So let me go to the next question. So do either the artists find that their work is received better outside of their home countries or within? Agnes, do you want to start again to answer?
Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me? Yes, for me, we actually live on art as a business here in Livingstone, Zambia. So if people were not supporting us even locally, I don't think would have been doing that. So it's well received both here and abroad. So that because it's well received, we are able to continue working and also reach out to others to try and uplift them. Thank you.
For me, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
For me, I will say, like, I am the new generation in my country, so we are the one doing things. So it's something new. It's like there's no reference. So most of my people who appreciate work always start from abroad. I would say that because I think I've received a lot of compliment abroad, but then my work is focused so much in here. But I understand that because it's also it's a process, and we are the same age. Like it's only us who's doing art. It's like only 20 people that has 27, just like the new generation. So I understand it's just a process. But I think most my people appreciate our work. It's abroad, from abroad. For me, from my experience.
Okay, I had a question of technical side of your work. What did you learn to construct the dresses, the other items that you create?
Since when I was young, my mom she will make clothes with knitting. I don't know the word in English, but I was kind of introduced to making since I was young. So, and then it's more experimental. So I just taught myself it's more like but I work so much also with different tailors that are doing that as a daily life job.
If you allow me, because time is very short, I would like to go on 2 questions quickly. One is if this session is recorded. Yes, it's recorded, will be posted on the Yammer page of the R program. If you don't have access to Yammer, contact the R program. The email is rprogram@worldbank.org, and we will send you the recording. The other question is for the artists, is how can we buy artworks? I have to say from the art program, we don't sell artworks. So we bring in contact the artist and the potential buyer. We don't take any commission for that. We are not a gallery, clearly. We are facilitating only. But I would like to let Agness and Cedric respond to this. How to buy your artworks.
Hello, you can hear me? Yes, so
Yes.
to buy our artwork, we actually have we are on Facebook, and yeah, so even on yeah, so people ask, like right now it's a bit hard because of the COVID. Even when tourists come here, even other art lovers, they are able to access our work from the gallery. And it's not only here, we also have some of our work in Lusaka. So if people are interested, we are on Facebook. Right now, that's the only one which is very active for us. Thank you.
For me, to buy my art, I would say, because when I did this artwork, it was more to express myself. But when I have someone proposing me, it's a process where the money goes to that specific person on the image or to my time. So I wouldn't say I have a way to sell them, but I have an Instagram page where you can see all my work. And I have the other work that I don't share online, that I'm just kind of have by my experience. I haven't been in the business for selling art, so I'm still learning. But if someone wants to buy my art, they can ask on Instagram or my email. Depend how.
Yeah, and again, we have, when we post if you want the profile of the artist on the art program Yammer website, we have the website and the contact information for the artist. And at the end of this presentation, there is as well. Another question is specifically for Cedric, is how the women who are portrayed in your artworks feel about the story, the story behind the art.
Thank you. The women, the feeling, it's always like, I remember when I go first, they all scared, and then it's a process. I spent time with them. So for the first project, I was 1 month just talking and then laughing and share, and at the end, when they saw themselves on the picture, they were amazed. For me, the feeling is always like thing that I love the most, when they see themselves in that large picture and they were like, "Whoa, that's me!" And also the story, it's always from them. They always feel the same, and I think I haven't achieved the big change what I dream to have a voice for these people. I'm still working on it, but I think people has realized. I think I was the first person in Rwanda who did an exhibition around rural women in art way. So for me, I think how they felt in Kigali, it was amazing. They always happy about the story around the artwork and their beauty in art, how they can bring beauty in what I do. I think they're my muse for forever.
Do you see that women are already prepared? They are ready to step up and present themselves through works of art, or you think they still need help from somewhere outside in your situation?
For me, I always feel like it's a process, and I'm not the only one who's doing this. It's a lot of people who's putting effort to give the voice and to help them. but the change is there. Like I don't know if you know so much about Rwanda, women are the most powerful in the government, in the all things, in the decision making in families. So I see there's a hope for women, but I want to be bigger than only in the city. It can also go so much in the village. I think it's still a process.
Thank you, Cedric. I see the time is now elapsed. I wanted to let all of you know as well that we have interviews, self-interviews that Agness and Cedric very kindly agreed to offer that will be posted. So you can discover a little more about them. And I have to say it has been a privilege and an honor to work with both of them. I had the pleasure of knowing Agness' work for many years. It's the first time I'm able to work with her, so I'm delighted. And I'm thrilled to discover Cedric's work now because I think he has a lot of talent, and I hope it will be an opportunity to work together for a longer time and to see him grow progressively. So just to let you know, the next event in August will be focusing on youth, and please stay tuned for the new invitation. And we will be in touch with Agness and Cedric to prepare the catalog entry on them and hopefully present their artworks in a virtual or physical form at the World Bank in the spring 2020. Thank you all. It has been really a pleasure having you all here. And I'm very glad that we could see all the work they are doing to increase, if you want, the self-esteem and the social emotional skills of women has direct impact on their livelihood, as Markus has explained to us at the beginning. So the social emotional skills definitely have a very strong saying in how much we have an economic impact. So it has been really a pleasure having you all here. Thank you, Agness. Thank you, Cedric. Thank you, Markus, and my team who has been wonderfully working very hard behind the scene. Have a wonderful afternoon and a wonderful evening, all of you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.